Hey gamers, today we're going to look at Sherwood Forest. Let's check it out. To set up for the game, you're going to shuffle all of these little equipment cards, put them over in this deck here. You're going to shuffle the A and B deck of travel location cards, put 2 A's and 2 B's out there or anywhere on the outside around the board. Each player is going to start off with 4 men, 2 bags of gold, as you see right here, and they're going to have their own little player board which shows they can only have a maximum of 5 gold, and they start off with 4 men. They can get more men later on. Now, their extra men are placed here at the hideout in the tree, and even though I have 1 token there, all the bag gold tokens go over here. You also have a carriage token, which is going to signify the pathway it's going to take from Nottingham, Derby, York, or Lincoln is where this carriage will be going to and fro. And this is the first player token that you'll hand to the first player. Now, the game is very simple and very easy. What this is simple worker placement. You do have 2 cubes here, and 1 cube is your score tracker that starts on the 0. What a player is going to do on their turn is place 1, 2, 3, or all of their workers at once. This game has a unique mechanic to where the first person to place out all their workers gets a victory point, and second place to do that gets to become first player. It's really cool. It really helps speed up the game a lot. We actually love that rule. Anyway, so there are 4 worker placement places you can play at. One is the church. You can deliver as many bags of gold, up to 5 of course, as you can hold, and cash them in. For each bag of gold that you donate to the church, you get a victory point. Or you can go down here and hire a man. Pay 2 gold and hire one of your men from the treehouse here. Or you can go here, and for every bag of gold you pay, or actually when you pay another one there, I think you only pay 1 per person there, you can get equipment cards. Now, equipment cards, you can only have a maximum of 3 in your hand. If you get more than 3, you have to discard a card. Equipment cards can be these that can redirect the carriage and where it's going. As you see, this guy's like scratching out a sign or moving it around. So if the carriage is supposed to go from Derby to Lincoln, you can reroute it to Nottingham because maybe you have some people in one of these hideouts along Nottingham to take it down. This one just gives you extra men, fighting men, because sometimes you have to fight, and those are the symbols there for fighting. The cloak lets you basically keep your men there in their hideout after a successful raid. They can stay in there and become the leader of the, it says the brigade leader. I'll talk about what that means later. And provisions, basically the same thing. You can keep your man in the hideout after a raid. These are good because usually after a raid, your men go back home, but provisions and cloaks will keep them there. Now, of course, the purpose of this game is to get victory points and enough money to buy different things too. The last place you can go to is this spot here. This lets you look at one of the 4 cards here. And what you're going to do is only you can peek under this and see, there's the route, starting at Nottingham and going to Lincoln. It only is going to be 1 army man. It's going to give you 1 victory point and give you 1 gold. So now that I know this secret information, I'm going to place my yellow cube on it. That way I can remember. If I forget, I can always look back up anyway. Now, putting people in hideouts is really cool because there's all these little hideout spaces. These 4 spaces can get 2 different hideouts. That's really nice, but these other spaces can get the jump on these corner spaces. So even though the corner spaces are nice, if you want to get the jump and rob that place first, you have to get up near on the road. And you don't know which directions it's coming and going. So let's say I had that information, then I know I can put 1 Nottingham guy there and I can grab that. Okay, I got the inside information. Now, it can be 1, it can be up to 12. How do you get 12? Well, you can't get up to 12. What you need to do is start partnering with other players. And now the deal making in this book is, the rule book is they kind of overly explain it, which they end up making it more confusing than what it actually is. In my opinion, this is what it is. You make a deal with someone else, equipment cards, men, whatever they have to bring, and the brigade leader is the one that stands in this box. They're the ones that made the agreement. And so maybe they know how much it is. Maybe they don't. They're saying, hey, look, we split the points evenly. We split the victory points or money or men. Sometimes these cards can give you extra men. Don't have any in there. Like this one. This one can give you an extra man if you win it. So you can negotiate on what you win, but he is the chief negotiator and says who gets what at the end. And of course, you do want to be fair because you're going to be teaming up with a lot of people. But you don't have to be fair. Now, the rules don't state that. The rules don't state that. But I think we're all scoundrels and thieves, so who says there's honor among thieves? You want to burn someone? You can. Now, they'll probably not work with you again, but we kind of made that house rule. Again, you really have to house rule when it comes to negotiating because the rules are really bad on that. But that's how I agree with leading. Now, again, I don't know what the cloak card is supposed to do, why the brigade leader is such a big deal. I guess, like I said, it's the person who divides out the treasure and whatnot. So maybe you do want to have a cloak so you can be the one to divide it out and make sure everyone gets a fair deal. Most times, though, when we're wheeling and dealing, everyone's trying to give everyone a good deal because you all want to work together, especially when getting points. The only time you're not getting dealt with, if you're winning the game, no one wants to deal with you. Anyway, so after everyone has placed all their people out, then the carriages start moving, and they start moving along those routes, and oh, here's a Sheriff of Nottingham card. Oh, it's almost like I did this on purpose. These are ones that are bad. Now, to beat the sheriff, you need 5 men. So let's say it was here. Now, we didn't beat the sheriff. If we did, we would have gotten 2 points. But even if we did or didn't, we're still going to lose 1 man each. So yellow would lose a man and blue would lose a man. They go back to the treehouse. You basically just arrested 2 men. So that's why you're always needing men, even though you unlock them. There's these sheriff cards in the deck, and some of them, like this one, for instance, can even give you negative points if you don't beat him. Now, and look, he's a 9 to beat. And the sad thing about this one is he'll go from Nottingham to York, and every band that attacks him along the way, if they don't have 9, all those players are going to lose 1 victory point each, and they're going to lose a man. These sheriff cards, they say this is an advanced game, but basically you got to put this in the base game. This is so much fun. It adds a lot of flavor, and it really makes spying at the end really good. You can spy. If you can catch a sheriff card, you know, maybe you'll avoid that route so you won't lose it. I really like the sheriff cards in the game. Anyway, the game ends when someone hits 25. You finish out the rest of the round, then add up any victory points from raids or people who are selling gold in the church. But after that last round, whoever has the most victory points wins. I should also mention on this board, you can see by the arrows who would get first crack at the carriage. The carriage token is kind of pointless, but it's nice to see where it goes. So the carriage token went here. Whoever's here can rate it first. If they're unsuccessful, it goes here. And if there's no one here, it just moves on to the next one. And you see these 2 corners, but this one's a little bit further down the road here, so he would get first crack at it. If he couldn't get it, then this one could get first crack at it. It's really neat piece. Kind of unnecessary, but you know, it kind of just shows the route on who's next, so you don't have to keep pointing your finger down the board. Final thoughts. What do I think about the game? Well, I saw this game while I was looking on Rio Grande Games site. This is kind of weird, but I was sitting around thinking, man, I really like the people at Rio Grande Games, but I hate their games. I only have like a few, but one of the games they have, absolutely love. It's in my top 10. I was like, surely they have other games out there that I like. Well, I saw this very unpopular game on their website, still available today. You can get it for super duper cheap. And I was like, it's worker placement. I may like this. A little bit of negotiation. Wasn't sure how that was going to go, but I like the wooden pieces and everything about it. And I wanted a Robin Hood game for a while. All the Robin Hood games out there look a little bit too finicky and not as fun. And this one looks kind of simple, but yeah, simple's not bad. Simple can be fun. This is a great game. We love this game. The negotiations are so fun. The rule book is really bad. It kind of over-explains everything, and you get kind of confused after a while. But really, just house rule it to where whoever is the captain of the decision making makes the decision for the whole group. You can have 3 or 4 people, especially in a 6-player game. You can have at least 3 people in raids, and you need to delegate out what you think will be fair. Some people won't think they got the fair, the fair end of the stick. Well, man, I took the victory point. He took the extra man. You get 2 bags of gold, but you can use that next time to unlock a man. I don't want the 2 bags of gold. I want the extra man right now. I'm sorry, or we each get a bag of gold or something. You only contributed 1, so maybe you only get 1 bag of gold. And like I said, you can screw everyone. We played that before, but if you screw everyone once, one guy screwed another guy, and no one wanted to do business with him because no one trusted him. He ended up getting very few points because it's all about negotiation at first. Now, you can get some good equipment cards to kind of help you out and kind of mitigate your chances against carriages, but absolutely, you have to play with the Sheriff of Nottingham card. If you do not play with those cards, the game's pretty vanilla. It's a lot vanilla because you can really unlock your men really quick, but the Sheriff of Nottingham can lock them back up again. I absolutely love that. So I think you should use those. Everything, you think the redirection card isn't that good. I remember someone got the redirection card. They had 3 cards and went, well, I'll keep it for now. They weren't very impressed. Well, they kept that redirection card and took another one because they were redirecting carriages everywhere toward them to get the big prizes. So to be honest, there's really not a bad equipment card in there. To be honest, donating gold to the church is thematic. You should get a lot of victory points for doing what you do, donating to the poor, right? Stealing from the rich to give to the poor. But when you do that, you lose out on unlocking men and getting more equipment cards. It's really awesome. Even wasting a man to go to the inn and flip over a card, inside information, at least every round, 2 people always went there because it helps to look and see what's coming up so you can get that spot first. And again, I love that you are playing all your players out on the board just to get that extra victory point. But that's not a good thing, right? Because you just risk it all and put every player on the board. Well, you may not know what's going on and you really didn't strategize that well. You didn't see where everyone else was playing. It's really cool. It's a really cool mechanism that really speeds up the game because no turn where putting out your workers took more than 2 rounds. By the first round, at least 2 players already dumped all theirs, and by the second round, the other 2 players dumped all theirs. It really makes the game go fast. I love that little rule where first player to go out gets the victory point. It's a nice victory point, but at the same time, you're not that prepared. Second one to go out, that may not be the best deal either because you don't know where the wind's blowing. You haven't had time to plan that much. You just want to go out so you can get first player. I like it though. It speeds up the game. Not a bad game. No one talks about this game. Not a bad game. Not a complicated game, but a fun game just enough in there. It's definitely a keeper for me. If you think you like it, you better check it out. You can get it for super cheap too. All right, gamers, that's all the time I have for now. Until next time, you know what to do. Rob from the rich and give to the poor.